and the one that had the most people, and it was the gathering.
Why?
It's just where they came to have it, because of all these. Well, they got moved a couple of times. It got logistics of where it could or could not be. It was totally unorganized.
Totally unorganized. So basically, it was all over the desert.
People came in that were contaminated with or supposedly contaminated with contagious diseases, and therefore they shut the water supply down, which limited where you could have it. You know, they wouldn't let them have it on the Virgin River because it supplies water for people, and if you've got contaminated hippies in the desert, and you've only got a little bit of water, and people have got to drink it in St. George's and places like that, they ain't gonna let you be there. And it got moved several times as to where it could be, and where they agreed to have it, they agreed to bring in the water, and that's why it was officially there. Even though other people camped on much, and it was desolate in the middle of nowhere, really the kind of land that Jesus wandered in the desert in the Middle East.
So there were people all over the desert, basically.
All over Utah. All over Utah and northern Arizona and New Mexico, having their own little mini gatherings. So if you didn't,
so that was a very
if you didn't follow the signs, if you weren't persistent, if you didn't know that you were going to be, we all knew. I had people that came with me part of the way and that left going checking out something else because they thought it was going to be there.
Yeah.
We knew we would find it. We knew that we would see the signs. We knew that we would know what the signs were as we found them.
So now,
and
was there a council? Was there a council at this one?
An impromptu council.
An impromptu council.
There were councils that came together for various reasons. There was a
we're talking major council to make some decision on something going to happen.
Okay. That at various times has been called a vision council or a site selection council. Yeah, as I mentioned when you were out of the room getting the sandwich together a while ago.
Okay.
The first idea of having a rainbow gathering the next year that was anything more than just an impromptu rumor or a sign.
This was in the letter.
Was it? There's no. This part isn't. This part is my personal experience. There's a little about it here in the letter in a little bit, which I'll get to.
Okay.
But the first Rainbow Vision Council wasn't called a Vision Council, but it came to be a site selection council for the next Rainbow Gathering, where you were supposed to speak your vision and your heart song. You know.
Okay.
So that's how it.
Later on, it became vision.
Later on, see, it's a dual sort of. That's one reason it's so muddy. It's like people have confused the whole function of. Later on, we had vision councils, which were for people's visions, in which people came together just to talk about their visions in general.
Yeah.
And really, that's sort of how we started having a Rainbow Vision Council in Montana. That then evolved out of that the idea to have a council about talking about our vision of a rainbow peace villages and of a rainbow peace fleet. That was just a vision at that point. An idea. And then from that, we had specialized councils that came together. But in Utah, it was just sort of a council to. We had little councils of the people that were there to decide what we were doing, because we were up against the wall in the middle of nowhere in the desert in Montana, and if they'd surrounded us and said, "Hey, you people are all contaminated. We're not going to let you leave," nobody would have ever known the difference. You probably couldn't have found us if you had been trying and known right where it was. You know?
Yeah.
You really had to know where you were. I didn't have the foggiest idea where it was. I was headed for the Rainbow Gathering somewhere in Utah. I heard it was in southwest Utah, southern Utah, sort of. But if I hadn't have been persistent, if we hadn't been persistent and known...
Did you happen to stop in Taos on your way to this?
No, I didn't.
You didn't? Okay.
I went with a fraternity brother, a former fraternity brother.
So here you got all these people out in the middle of the desert. What kind of makeup do we have here? Now we're talking 1,000 people over a span of 4 weeks.
No.
Over a span of 1 week?
Well, the whole thing. I guess maybe there were a few. Maybe the whole thing might take about 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah.
Okay, 3 or 4 weeks.
It was not.
Was it predominantly male or female?
Well, I'd say it was pretty mixed, but a little more male than female. Partly because it was pretty hard to get to. You had to go. You had to hitchhike through. Most of the people hitchhike through the middle of the desert.
60-40 or just around. I know, it's not.
I don't know about the people that never found it. There were a lot of people.
We're not talking about the people that didn't.
There were a lot of people that had their own.
People that were where you were.
The people that actually got to the Rainbow Gathering in Utah in 1974, in the first week in July when I was there.
Okay.
Were probably 70% male. Or
70%.
It varied, 60, 70.
How about the year before that?
The year before, it was probably a little more male, but it was really felt like a whole lot more mixed, and it was a really mellow time. Totally mellow and totally you got no sense of it being a male-dominated event at all, and in fact, no sense of it being dominated by anybody.
Well, I wasn't talking domination. I was just asking numbers.
I know, but I'm saying numbers. I have no idea. It was.
You would assume it was a little bit more male though. So if it was 60-40 in Utah,
it may have been 60-40 in Wyoming. It was okay. Probably 70-30 in Utah.
Okay.
Something like that.
Oh, okay. That would be reasonable.
Maybe even more. Maybe 75 or 80. I mean, I'm sorry to say.
Where did they park the buses at?
There weren't that many buses in Utah.
Weren't that many buses in Utah?
Yeah,
okay.
Parking was not much of a problem. We had a lot of space. We were in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, but you had to be ecologically sound, so you had to park it in particular places. You couldn't just park anywhere in the desert.
No, we had a place picked out, but there was no big overflow of...
See any snakes? Was there snakes there?
There weren't too many.
Not too many snakes.
There were some. I didn't go looking for too much. There were some. I don't know if I saw any or not. I might have
trees?
I saw a few. There were a few trees, not too many.
A few trees. A creek somewhere? No water. It couldn't have been a creek.
There was a big lake, a reservoir.
Okay.
That was off limits because people were contaminated with
people were
different things.
contaminated?
That they were well, I'm not sure.
Yeah, they would say that. They would say
some people were.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I mean. To find the Utah gathering, to get to the Utah gathering, you really had to be good at it, and you really had to have a lot of experience on the road following signs.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. Yeah. Nobody knew where it was. If you'd known, it changed a million times.
This next year, in Utah, you actually had a council to decide where it was going to be.
Yeah. Now,
read it.
No, he didn't talk about that. He'll talk about the sign for Wyoming a little bit. We'll talk about the whole idea. But this is my own personal experience. I was at Utah, and in fact, I got really tight with the people. In fact, one of whom I still work on all these political things. In fact, I've been calling people in the Senate over the Thomas and Gates nominations, working with Medicine Eagle, who I picked up hitchhiking in Page, Arizona, and took to this Utah gathering, and didn't see again for years, until we got together and worked on stuff on marijuana initiatives in California and Oregon. Also at a rainbow gathering in Washington. Starting with a rainbow gathering in Washington.
Yeah.
But at one point there were so many problems, starting with being in the middle of the desert, on short notice with nobody knowing where it was.
We accept
having
those
all
things.
Well, I know, but I mean, we got to saying, gee, surely we can do better than this.
Yeah. Okay.
It was really, in a sense, it was a low point because it was so totally. It was very high. There were some high moments, but there was also, there were some councils where it didn't click. For the first time, I saw how things didn't work sometimes. You know, people took over little individual things of the trip. People played little games and stuff. Whereas Wyoming had been totally free, open, spontaneous, lack of games, and just totally beautiful. Like we were all singing Neil Young songs and sitting around campfires, and it was just total bliss. Total bliss.
So you came to this decision to actually hold it somewhere instead of holding it.
We got together to talk about it because we decided, hey, look what happened. Somebody put up a sign. You can't stop people from putting up signs. You can't stop people from going and having another one if they want to. Yep. Somebody's going to do it.
Yep.
We might as well take a little more responsibility for what's going to happen, where it's going to be, where we want it to be.
And so you did.
Well, I made a comment to the people that came with me, and no more than a dozen people, I guess, at some point, and they talked to another several dozen people.
And before too long, the same idea at the same time.
Well, no. My comment was, they tell me, as I recall, I said something like, "Gee, I bet we could do better than this in Arkansas because there's a lot of water." See, that's sort of, and I said nothing more really, except just to sort of took part in the council. But all these people that got rides with me to the Rainbow Gathering in Utah took the initiative of saying, "Hey, let's have it in Arkansas." Because of the comment that I threw out.
Personal power, guru.
I didn't think we weren't ready for it. We had some problems in getting Arkansas together, but it was a nice gathering. But it would have been much better 10 years down the road, you know.
Well, it was much better 10 years down the road in Missouri.
In Missouri, yeah, that's right. But just on that whim, and the fact that nobody knew what to do, but we had to do something.
So there was
a vision council that reached a consensus on Arkansas, based on the desire to do something positive to prevent a disaster from happening, where there were people that were we were lucky that nobody actually got sick and died in contaminated water, and
that you know about.